Hi, Cloud Native enthusiasts. Welcome to another episode of the IDP series. Today I'm gonna demo Crossplane. Crossplane is an infrastructure management tool built on top of Kubernetes. So basically it extends the Kubernetes API and allows you to basically use only one API to provision your infrastructure on whatever hyperscaler you want. It comes with a very nice feature which is called drift detection. So if something happens to the infrastructure you provision outside the scope of Crossplane, the operator detects the drift and basically reconciles the infrastructure to the state that you already defined. So the desired state that you told Crossplane, this is what I want. I'm super excited to go with the demo. Let's dive right in. Our guy Crossplane is over here. The topic is orchestration and management. So just orchestrates your infrastructure, manages the infrastructure for you. And if I click on the Crossplane icon, I see some information about the company, the website, their Git repository, some information about the company, how old they are, and their funding, how many people are working there, and so on and so forth. So please go ahead and check this out. Useful information in here. So this is their website. As I said, like the big guys, the three major players are already supported by Crossplane, but the development is still ongoing. So every day there are new cloud resources that are being supported by Crossplane providers. All right. So let's start with the demo. This is the gist of what we are going to talk about, and we already talked about like the benefits of Crossplane and so on. And this is part of like a series of internal developer platform book. So I put the link in the description. Go ahead, check it out if you want. As I said, for Crossplane we need a Kubernetes cluster, and any Kubernetes cluster would do. I'm gonna go ahead and simply use Minikube. I need Minikube. Let's see what version of Minikube is already installed in the Cloud Shell. It's 1.32, which is recent enough. And so we're just gonna go ahead and start our Minikube cluster by running Minikube and start. All right, Minikube is installed. So let's continue. If I do docker ps, I see my Minikube container is already over here. And if I do kconfig, and by the way, k is kubectl. If I do kconfig current context, I see that my kubectl is already pointing to the Minikube cluster context, which is exactly what I want. So if I do get ns, what namespaces and so on, I see like default kube system. Nothing fancy, a very simple Kubernetes cluster. So let's look at our playbook. So we need to install Crossplane. How do we install it? By installing a Helm chart. And Crossplane comes to the Helm chart. Let's just go ahead and copy all the stuff from here and run them in our terminal. So now the Helm chart is deployed. So if I do get ns again, I now have a Crossplane system namespace, which is created by Crossplane. And if I do list the Helm chart that I just installed in the Crossplane namespace, Crossplane system namespace, I see the Helm chart and the app version of the Helm chart that I just installed in the Crossplane namespace. Cool. And there are a bunch of resources that are created in the Crossplane system namespace. So if I just do get everything in the Crossplane namespace, I see we have a service, we have a bunch of pods, 2 deployments, and the replica sets that are created by those deployments. So these are basically the building blocks of Crossplane that take care of automating stuff for us. So let's continue. As I said, Crossplane is extending Kubernetes API, and if you want to check out like what APIs are now added to the Kubernetes when you install this Helm chart, you can run this command. And here we can see, let's say, if we have a bunch of new APIs and a bunch of new custom resource definitions. So these are the custom resource definitions that enable us to install the providers we want. So we can install a provider that works with AWS or GCP or Azure and provision the infrastructure as we want. So far, Crossplane has no idea that we're going to provision stuff on GCP, let's say. So in order to tell Crossplane, hey, this is the project and you need to act on behalf of, let's say, this service account to do the provisioning for me, we need to create a secret for Crossplane. So you need a project ID, you need a service account name, and that service account name needs to have like the permission required to provision that infrastructure. For simplicity, I just used roles admin here. And once you have the role assigned to your service account, you need to create a key out of your service account. And that key needs to be stored as a secret in the in your operations cluster. So I already have a creds JSON in here. If I do ls, I have my creds JSON in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and run this command to create the secret for myself. Let's just do this, and there we are. In the Crossplane name, it says you have a secret called GCP secret. So now we have the secret. Crossplane has a secret, has the key to open our GCP door, but it still doesn't know what it is supposed to do with GCP. So we tell it, okay, I want you to go ahead and create some storage related resources for me. So the provider that takes care of storage related resources is called provider GCP storage. We're just going to go ahead and install this into our cluster. And if I look at the, if I just watch the kubectl get providers command, I see I have installed the GCP storage. We have two columns, healthy and installed. I just need to give it enough time to have a healthy provider GCP storage. And now there we are. We have two providers in here. You might ask, why two? We just installed one provider. Why do we have a second one? This is like a helper provider that takes care of communicating with GCP. So this guy specializes on the storage services, and this guy is like a family GCP, is there like as a base sort of provider that takes care of authenticating with GCP. So the secret we created is used by this guy to talk to the Google API. So let's move on. So we did install the cluster, the provider. Now we need to configure it. So I'm gonna exit out of this and configure my provider. So now we're in a good shape to create our first managed object. And that object, we installed the storage provider, right? So it makes sense to create a storage object or a storage resource. It's going to be a GCP bucket. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this command. You see it has a name. The name is my Crossplane bucket, and it is going to live in the US, and the rest of the stuff you can also look at the documentation of Crossplane, what you can configure, but I'm just going to go with a simple demo here. So let's just paste this guy in here, and now I have a bucket, and the type of the kind of the resource I created is a bucket type. So if I do get buckets, I see I have my Crossplane bucket. There are again two columns in here that are not showing any values, so I just need to have some patience and give Crossplane some time. So now I have the synced column set to true and the ready is false, and now I have both of them set to true. So this means basically the bucket is now there. So Crossplane did what it's supposed to. So now if I look at this page, we need to refresh, and there we are. This is the bucket we created with Crossplane. All right, back to playbook. We have drift detection. What does it mean? It's very simple. If something happens to our infrastructure outside the scope of the infrastructure tool we have, so let's say some team member, some engineer, accidentally or intentionally, doesn't matter, deletes our precious bucket. How do we react? If you know Terraform, Terraform does not support drift detection. So you have to have a process in place that re-triggers the Terraform workflow, init plan apply, and you can recreate your resource then. But with Crossplane, this happens automatically. So let's look at it in action. So here we have our bucket running healthy, ready, looking good. And here we have our bucket. Let's say someone doesn't like our bucket and goes ahead and deletes it. So I'm just gonna delete our bucket here. All right, it took almost 10 minutes for Crossplane to understand that there's a drift, and now it has requested again to create the resource. So the resource was deleted manually by me, and now if I do refresh, I have my bucket in here. How cool is that? It happened automatically. It's not like real time, it's not instantaneous, but it is good enough. So, all right, that's it for this demo. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the playlist so that you can see similar content, cloud native tools, and the tools that are needed for building an internal developer platform. See you in the next one. Thank you.